The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight! We're firing up the TV party pots tonight! Alright, alright, alright! Screens light up, brains shut down, talking trash about the best shows in town. No homework, no disguise, just hot takes on the studio live. Sit down, lock in, hit play, let the noise begin. Lock in another episode, another spin. No ratings, no mercy, no skipping the commercials of culture. TV party tonight. TV party tonight. Same screen, same fight, same damn podcast tonight. All right.
Hello, and good evening, and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna, and if you're watching us live tonight, happy Mario Day for all of my fellow gamers out there.
Wahoo!
Let's go. Joining me, you may remember him from 2 weeks ago when we discussed Fallout Season 2, Mr. Andrew Orozco. Did you have that Kirby painting up behind you last time? Because I do not remember that.
No, I don't think so. No, I moved it. I had it somewhere else, and I just moved it.
Because I just started talking, and it's like, why the hell am I looking at the pink marshmallow of the apocalypse?
Yeah. I got it from Etsy a couple of months ago. Actually, what happened was I had it under my TV because I just didn't have anywhere to put it. I've been too lazy to just buy nails and a hammer just to put it in somewhere. And I forgot. I was like, I had it clean up recently, and I was like, let me just put it over here now. And I'm like, okay, it's in the background now. So I was on a Zoom call, and I was like, let me just put it there for fun. And I just forgot to move it again. So.
Well, it works. Like I said, nothing like the imminent doom of having your body destroyed and your soul absorbed into the one that is Kirby. I mean, sorry, if you actually look into how Kirby attains his powers, it is Leviathan, like Lovecraftian levels of terrifying.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a funny, I don't know if you've ever seen those, not epic rap battles. There's I forgot what it's called. Like, there's this video series where they put certain characters from across all fiction against other characters, and they repeatedly put Kirby against all sorts of like just monstrous entities, and he always wins. He just always wins because he has like no limits to what he can consume.
Yeah, I did see Kirby take on Majin Buu on Death Battle.
Yes, yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
that was a good fight. That was a really good fight. Because I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so.
Yeah.
All right. Cheryl Johnson, hi. Glad to have you tuning in. So tonight, we also got Cody Woolever, also on YouTube. Glad to have you guys tuning in to watch us tonight, because tonight, Mr. Orozco, are you ready to head back to Westeros?
Yes, I am.
All right, but we're not going back for some great saga. We're going back for a tournament. We're here to talk Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So again, this is an interesting show because we're so used to the Game of Thrones, House of the Seven Dragons, battle for the crown, battle for the land, who will betray whom, and that's not what this is. This is kind of a character study. It's very laid back in a way. It's more just a story about a man and his squire, his apprentice, and they just happen to live in Westeros.
Yeah, I mean, let me take you back a few weeks when you first said, you're like, Andrew, like, do you want to jump on the review for this one? And I was like, all right, sure. Yeah, okay. I think it was before we did the Fallout one. I'm pretty sure it was before that. Yeah, so I'm like, okay. And I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Maybe I'll enjoy it after the disaster that the end of Game of Thrones was, and the dragon House of the Dragon just being okay. I think it's just okay so far. And so we were supposed to.
So we haven't had Sheep Stealer to entertain us quite yet. So
And so we were supposed to do this last week, and I was busy because Resident Evil 9 came out, and so I was busy with that. And then
priorities,
I was like,
priorities.
yes. And so you're like, okay, well, you're the only other person on this review, so we can post it on. I'm like, okay, cool. So we'll do that. And so over the weekend, I finally got around to it. I think it was around Sunday night. I was like, oh shoot, I need to watch this show. And thankfully, it's only like 6 episodes.
Mhm.
And going into it, I was kind of like, okay, let me just knock this out. And then I ended up binge watching most of it yesterday on Monday, and I was like, okay, not familiar with, I was not familiar with how great this would actually be. I did not expect it. I did not expect to enjoy it nearly as much as I ended up enjoying it. And I honestly think I think it's probably one of the better pieces of the whole Song of Ice and Fire media that we received so far. I mean, it's kind of unfair to put 6 episodes against an entire 8-season show,
Mhm.
pound for pound, but like, it's the quality is here.
Definitely. So this is based off of the Tales of Dunk and Egg by George R.R. Martin, created by Ira Parka and George R.R. Martin, brought to us by Friendly Wolf Productions, GRM, and HBO Entertainment, premiered on January 18, 2026. So this follows the tale of Dunk, or Sir Duncan the Tall, as he later decides to call himself. He was the former squire to Sir Aaron. And what's Sir Aaron, right? Hang on a second.
Yeah. Arlen.
Yeah, Aaron. Sir Aaron.
Yeah.
And Sir Aaron has just passed, and Dunk's just kind of like, well, now what am I supposed to do with my life? 'Cause he is a hedge knight. Essentially, he's kind of a freelance knight.
Yeah, like a
He doesn't
Ronin
belong-
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call him a hedge knight, because he doesn't get to sleep in the property with the other knights. He has to sleep in the hedges. He has to just go camp outside, pretty
Mhm.
much. And he knows there's a tournament going on, so he decides, you know what, let's go ahead and go compete in the tournament, make a name for myself. And as he starts to head out there, he comes across a young boy who calls himself Egg. And Egg says, I want to be your squire. I want to go to the tournament. And Dunk says, no, get the hell off my horse. What the hell are you thinking? It's kind of funny. He comes out and Egg's just sitting playing on his horse. It's like, dude, you do not get on another man's horse. Get the hell off the horse. And he makes it to the tournament, but because he is a hedge knight, the property master who's overseeing the tournament says, well, this is like a really big tournament. We got royalty and all the big names of big houses here, so I can't let you win unless I've got proof you are who you say you are. So if you can get one of the other knights here to say that they know who Sir Aaron was, I'll go ahead and admit you. And Dunk goes around to all these other tents and all these others, and he's like, and he tries to get all these other knights to remember him, and these guys don't give a damn until he runs into, I want to make sure, Prince Baelor, heir to the throne of House Targaryen. And Baelor, it turns out, is a good guy. You know, they always say whenever the Targaryens are born, the gods flip a coin, and this time it landed on the good side with Baelor. He is a legit good guy. And Dunk approaches him, and Baelor says, oh yeah, Sir Aaron, I dueled with him. I remember him. Yeah, you want to be in the tournament? You can be in the tournament. And after he's put back in, he finds out that Egg followed him to the tournament, has already set up a camp for him and cooked fish for him. And Dunk's like, okay, fine, you're my squire. Can't really kick you out after this. So, again, you really said you enjoyed it. What did you think about our characters of Sir Duncan the Tall, or Dunk, and Egg? What did you think of our two main characters?
It was refreshing to have. I mean, Egg is royalty, right? He is a prince, but to have these two central characters who are not really, at least for in Egg's case, really putting on that they come from like normal houses. There's no Starks here. There's no, I mean, there are Targaryens in the background, right? Obviously, but like the two central characters, they don't really come off. I mean, Egg doesn't come off of that, and Duncan, he's from very, very humble beginnings. And so it's nice to kind of just have sort of like a Knight's Tale sort of take on Game of Thrones here, where it is just kind of you're starting from the bottom and you're trying to just work your way up to make a name for yourself. There's no overarching thread of the White Walkers or major family dynamics, civil wars. It's very kind of just it's like the Marvel equivalent of Spider-Man, kind of like your neighborhood kind of story
Yeah.
setting. Like no high stakes. There's high stakes for the main character, but there's no high stakes in terms of the overall scheme of what's going on in the world, really. At least, not at the beginning. And so I really liked how we're introduced to Duncan, where he's kind of just like, I think one of the earliest scenes is him just kind of just taking a crap behind a tree. Just
They start up the Game of Thrones music and it cuts to him taking a dump. And
so like
music
right
just
off
stops.
the tone's like, okay, this isn't your, your ordinary. There's no sense of like pomp and circumstance and high. This isn't like I'm trying to think of the proper term, but like there's no kind of snootiness we're just kind of like, yep, there's our main character. He's just taking a crap behind a tree. And it's like, okay, cool. Like we're setting the tone that this is gonna be a much more casual fare. We're not, fulfilling prophecies or doing anything super crazy here. We're just kind of, that's what people do. And there's no restroom around. You kind of just, do your business where hopefully no one's watching you. And so like that instantly set the tone for me. And just a lot of like the very quick cuts where he's like, oh, you never beat, like, sir, never beat me if I didn't deserve. And it shows like every single time he like smacks over the head, except that one time when I didn't deserve it. And it shows like the kid getting away, like running away in the background, and he takes the blame for him for like eating a pie or something. Like, like okay, I'm all in now. Like there's no pomp or circumstance here. We're kind of just telling like a layman kind of dark comedy within this realm. Like you're doing something different. It doesn't feel like too redundant. Like, okay, I am totally in for this. And so I love how even though he is like of the lowest kind of standard in terms of like the knights and such, like he's like hardcore about like justice and living up to this name of this like barely recognized knight that he has passed away. And now he has these 3 horses and he's like, well, what do I do now? Like, well, I could sell 2 of them and I'll probably eat like a king for a whole year, but then what? Like this, it feels very relatable in a way where like someone who's like fresh out of high school or out of college and you're kind of just trying to figure things out. You're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like I didn't, receive this massive inheritance. I don't have titles. Like what is the realistic thing for my skill set to do? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're going to, go enter this tourney and, use what we can, pretend that I got knighted, but there's no one to say otherwise. And so just, it's just a very different kind of a tale, a Song of Ice and Fire kind of story. And so I like something that's a little more, original and not so, what's the term I said earlier? Not so like regal, right? Or there's no
not
major houses at the forefront.
exactly. Oh, got a question here from Cody for you. What PlayStation do you play?
I have a PS5. I play on PS5. I have my PS4 in the other room, but I mostly play on PS5. So okay.
Oh, they were asking you. Talk about getting distracted with Resident Evil. They said you got your priorities. And yes, like you brought up, we do find out at the end of episode 3 that Egg is not called Egg because he's got a big old bald head. It's short for Aegon. He is the 3rd son of Prince Maekar. His oldest, Prince Arion, who I swear to God, I think just came off of a Billy Idol lookalike contest.
He does look like him, huh? Yeah, he does. He's got the hair and the shape of the jaw. Yeah.
Yes, and I love Billy Idol, so he's entering the tournament, and he's an asshole because again, Targaryen, flip the coin. And Egg was supposed to go with another brother who is a total Prince Darian the Drunken. Who, is just apparently Darian has prophetic dreams. That's a new one. So he drinks himself into a stupor every single time. And he got too drunk, and Egg was like, "Oh, but you promised you'd take me to the tournament," and that's why he jumped at the chance to go with Dunk. And we also get to meet my personal favorite character, Sir Lionel Baratheon. known as the Laughing Storm. We get to see his tent in the first episode, and I swear to God, I'm watching this going, this is just an average weekend at the local Ren Fair. It's just missing the littering of Pepsi bottles all over the place. But that was awesome. It's like Dunk gets an invite in through Raymond Fossaway, a member of another minor house. And he literally just walks in, and Lionel's going, it's like, well, what are you doing here? You're not a knight. And Dunk openly says, I came in to get some food. He's like, and Lionel's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And he had to become BFFs with this guy.
I like that. I like how just natural it becomes, where he's like, you know how to dance, and it just cuts to them just like, Dunk's not exactly the most graceful or elegant dancer.
Well, yeah,
And
he's
kind
like
of this-
he's like 6'4". The actor is stupidly tall.
Yeah, and they're kind of like, and then Baratheon's kind of coming at him like a very aggressive dance style. Like I think he even steps on him, and they kind of just like laugh it off.
Mhm.
And then we could just cut to them like at late hours later, and they're just kind of just drinking and just having a conversation. Like they've become like really fast friends, and so
Yeah.
like that.
Sir Lionel Baratheon just is one of those kind of characters that you can imagine the fans absolutely loving. We see in the Game of Thrones universe so many uber serious characters who are just crazy, determined, and nutso. And I think it's refreshing to have a character like Lionel, who is essentially just kind of going where the wind takes him. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna have some fun, but he's a good guy. It's fun, but he's not irresponsible. He clearly is good at leading House Baratheon. He is he is the ancestor of Robert Baratheon, who would lead Robert's Rebellion and would be the king we see in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, this story does not deal with this great saga of Game of Thrones, but it is important to remember these characters are still all intermingled.
You can kind of see it too, because he does look kind of like Renly, which is like the younger Baratheon brother.
Yeah, he does.
He kind of has that look, kind of, and then just the way his attitude is very similar to Robert, where Robert just wants to party.
Mhm.
He kind of has that. Like, you do kind of see like there's some like mannerisms, like, okay, this is like the party, this is the frat house over here.
Yeah, but how awesome did that party look? It's like, I want to go get drunk with Lionel Baratheon. I want to go party with these guys.
He's like there's like a part where he's like on top of a table, and he's like just like clapping and dancing, and everyone.
He's got the stag horns.
Oh, it's so cool! I love that. The crown.
That was great. Yes, I loved it. It'll say another recurring joke, and I don't know if you're going to get this, but I kept laughing because, again, the actor, Dunk, they call him Sir Duncan the Tall for a reason, and the actor playing him is over 6 foot tall. So they have a running joke that Dunk keeps hitting his head on the door frames. And on the second time, I was suddenly brought back to an episode of Pinky and the Brain, where Brain was in like a country music western. He had like really tall legs, and he literally hit his head, and it was just like, yes, this is a pain that is going to linger. So by the second time, it's like all I hear is Maurice LaMarche saying that line. So again, we have at the end of the third episode, we find out that Aegon is actually royalty because Prince Aerion, who again is a major asshole, saw a puppet show performing, which side note, practical puppetry, and those things were, we only see them for a few minutes, but that was some amazing work with the puppetry.
Like the fire breathing, and I mean, I can't even imagine how hard it is to move something that huge. That dragon's huge, and then earlier when they had the full knight with the whole painted face and everything, and just moving all those around like that. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to live like in a medieval equivalent, but just seeing like something like that. Like if I'm someone from the countryside and I don't really know much about entertainment, I would see that. Like that would totally blow my mind.
Yeah. How about the scene where they stab the dragon and I think it's like rose petals shoot out and take blood? That was so cool.
Or like confetti or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, Aegon loves the puppet show because he's a kid, and Dunk likes the puppet show because he's got the hots for the lead puppeteer, and she is cute. To the point that he hires her to paint a new emblem on his shield because Prince Baelor points out to him, it's like, you're carrying your former former master, former leader. He's carrying Sir Arlen's shield.
Right.
And he basically says, look, you're not Sir Arlen. You need to have your own crest
Yeah.
on the shield. And he tasks the puppeteer to paint it. And it is so cute watching him try to flirt. It's like, oh my God, you are beyond awkward. You clearly have never talked to him before.
Afterwards with Egg, he's like, how do you think that went? And Egg's just trying to coach him, like, well, yeah, you guys have he's like a commonality. He's like, oh yeah, common, yeah, okay. She's like, oh, you're very tall, or right? I think she says that she was made fun of for being tall or something.
Yeah,
like that.
She's also pretty tall. So,
and he's about to say the wrong thing, and Egg like corrects, like covers for him. I'm trying to remember the exact line. Like, oh no, you're not too tall for it. And then he like interjects somehow. I forgot exactly how, but just he's not exactly the most graceful person around.
Pretty much. But oh my God, like I said, and then of course, but then we get to the end of the end of episode 3, not season 3. This is only season 1, the end of episode 3, where we have the dragon being stabbed because they're reenacting a story about the slaying of a knight. And Prince Arion happened to catch the play and says, hey, dragons are the sigil of my house. I'm the prince. What you just did is essentially high treason, which it's not, and Aegon runs in and gets Dunk and he's going, oh my God, you got to do something. Ariel's going nuts. And he's tearing up. He's kicking the ass of all the puppeteers and he's breaking the fingers of the puppeteer. And Duncan does not hesitate. Again, this is really great about him being a hedge knight is that he does not think, I can't assault a prince. He says, you're hurting the innocent. I am charged with protecting the innocent. And he punches the hell out of Arion. And he's probably going to get killed for that. And Aegon stands up and says, hey, you can't do that.
Right. And
the reveal and the way it does that, like the quick cuts across the crowd, you're almost expecting to hear the music go like da 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 da, and it's like bump bump bump.
Yeah, and you can tell like Egg obviously knows who they are. Duncan has approved that height makes a difference because he might just give any winner always as well being awkward. And I guess there's that part earlier where they were kind of making fun of him when he's asking to speak with forget the Lord's name, and they're like, oh, like he's like basically sleeping.
Yeah, it's the 2 prostitutes who are like, we just wore the hell out of him, pretty much.
Yeah, and he's kind of just very like, he does the thing where he like, oh yeah, he does it twice actually, where he goes the wrong way and then adjusts himself and goes the correct way, where he tries to walk away, and he does it also later to the Targaryens when he goes in when they find him spying, and he does it, he goes the wrong way. It's like, oh right, this like, like he's just kind of stumbling all over himself, and the whole thing is like he just kind of just finds himself in these situations and just keeps making it out somehow.
Yeah. Okay, we do have a comment also by Robson here. Can you read that?
Dunk, cabeza dura igual muralla de Castelo. Cabeza, I believe it sounds like Spanish is head. Dura is hard, duro. Igual is same or even. Muralla, I believe, is face. And then the Castello, I think he's talking about like how thick his head is, I'm thinking.
So basically it's a joke that Doug's got a thick skull.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I know it's Spanish, but I don't recognize the C in cabeza, the second one with the little squiggly line. I'm not sure if I don't know. It sounds close to Spanish, but I don't think it's Spanish. It's very similar. Must be one of the Romance languages.
Okay. I apologize. Wasn't trying to play into a stereotype there. But
put me on the spot.
Translate. Sorry. I was just curious. So Dunk King Baelor, still good guy, is like, look, yeah, my nephew is an idiot. He was in the wrong, but there's still got to be a trial.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if it's a standard trial, you're not going to win it. So we go back to the season 1 standby from Game of Thrones. Time for a trial or trial by combat.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know that Dunk would easily kick Arion's ass. And so they're thinking, okay, so you're going to challenge Arion, and Arion's going to totally wimp out and say, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. It's not worth it. But what does Arion do? He doubles down, and we get the the combat of 7.
So let me pull in all these other people into my problem now.
Because now it's not just 2 dudes fighting, it's 14 dudes dying. Because basically you have to have a team of 7 versus a team of 7. This is apparently an old rite that has not been invoked in ages, probably because most people thought it was stupid.
I think they mentioned in the show that it's the first one in over like 1,000 years or 700 years. One of those numbers came up.
Something like that, because the idea is that because there are 7 gods, then they would be more fair to a team of 7 against 7. But
like a lucky number kind of thing,
yeah. But again, everyone's just like, no, this is stupid. Why would you want to get other people killed?
I like how his dad doesn't even like the third in line doesn't even know what that's a thing. He's like, what? Like, what do you? And then Baylor being like the student of history that he is, he's like, oh yeah, like it's this thing, and he's like, how would you even know about that? Like, I like the little kind of we have the brother who's obviously he's the kinder, he's the second in line, he's more kind of in tune with the people, and he's just fair. He knows his history, he knows people, he doesn't forget people. And the other one who's kind of just I'm not gonna probably be king, I don't care about any of this crap, and he's scolding his son. I love how he keeps scolding his son, kind of
right? The way he kicks him out, the way he's basically grabbing the kid by the ear. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
He even says he's like what, okay, why are you cowering behind this thing? Even he knows his son's kind of just he's not in the right. He knows that he's not in the right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he also has to fight on it. So now we've got Dunk who came here alone and only has Prince Aegon, who is, obviously not going to fight for him. And now he's got to go and find 6 other people to fight with him. Mm-hmm. And it's I couldn't even get any of you people to vouch for my former master, Sir Arlen. How the hell am I going to convince you guys to fight? So he goes to see Sir Fossaway, Raymond's cousin, and it's funny because apparently, I guess this is what's interesting to me, is that this takes place, after House of the Dragon, but before Game of Thrones. Now, in the House of the Dragon, the Targaryens are still in control, and they still have the dragons, and they are still seen as being, the same blood of the dragons. They are, it's they were seen almost as gods because they were able to control the dragons. And in Game of Thrones, the Targaryens are almost all extinct, and no one cares about them. In this show, the dragons are all dead.
Right.
The Targaryens are still kings, though, and you really find out that not a lot of people like the Targaryens. You get a great little rant from Raymond Fossaway, just talking about they're horrible people. So many of them are total nightmare rulers. They are just crap. They're just still flaunting. It's yes, we're of the dragons. You haven't. It's the dragons have been dead for hundreds of years. Shut up.
Yeah, I do like that little bit of kind of sowing the seeds. I mean, we're still far away we're probably 80 plus years removed from Robert's Rebellion, but just you can already see the Baratheons are kind of screw those guys. We don't even like them, but we kind of just, we serve them because we have to, right? It's kind of just the rule, right? And the Fossaway is kind of being those guys are jerks too. You kind of see the seeds being kind of fomenting of what's going to happen later, where once the people realize hey, we don't have to listen to this small group of people. I mean, they're a house, but they don't have bannermen in the same way that the other houses have, where the houses are, they rule by locality, by region or whatever. The Targaryens don't really have a region because they have the entire 7 kingdoms, but they don't have a specific this is our strong point, right? Dragonstone, I think, is pretty much gone at this point, or at least a lesser kind of house area or whatever. But they're getting to the point where people are kind of starting. You can see this, they'll talk to their kids, and then kids will talk to their kids. It's kind of there is really not that much love for the Targaryens.
I should also add, I love Raymond Fossaway because I love that nearly everything he says goes back to apples. Because the Fossaway sigil is an apple. They are farmers.
Dude, the armor that his cousin has, that gold armor with the orchard on it, looks so cool.
I know, right?
It's not aggressive. It's not a monster or an animal. It's just a very elegant, just very like prestigious looking like set of armor. It's like kind of like that gold copper, and just like you see the branches and the apples. I'm like, that's such cool armor. It looks so cool.
And he always talks about the cider. It's like, hey, we brew our own cider. Come on in for a cup of cider. And not gonna lie, I love a good hard cider.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh,
cider.
so sold. So they even talk at the end about how their land is, and their land is mostly orchards. And I'm just sitting there going, this sounds like heaven. A small kingdom of apple orchards with your own home brewed cider. I'm in. I want to live there. I want to be a Fastaway. But yeah, so Sir Fastaway says he's going to fight with Dunk because he's like, yeah, I agree. The Targaryens are assholes. And he says, I'm going to go find you some men.
But also he's like a glory seeker, right? He's like, this is like the first of this kind of fight. Like, how many years? Like, think of like the songs they'll write of it. Like hell yeah, I'm going to participate.
So in the morning, it turns out that Fastaway didn't get the men together. Egg did. So we got Lord Baratheon and a couple of other knights that we saw. Oh my God, I can't remember his name, but we see one of the knights. Aegon runs into him when he's training. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
With eye patch, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sorry.
He says, like, what happened to your hair? He's like, what happened to your eye?
I should add the scene of Egg training the horse is so fun. He's like, okay, go. And the horse takes a shit. There's a lot of poop in this show. A lot of people taking shits. But yeah, and he talks about the eye. And we do the cutback or the flashback of this knight riding into battle after his eye's been just damaged. And it's like dangling out. Oh,
yeah. It was really gnarly. Yeah.
And I will tell you, this shows you where my head is at, because that scene didn't freak me out. Prince Aerion stabbing the horse. That was the line we do not cross.
That was a little dirty, yeah.
Yeah, because he lowers his lance and he purposely does not. He knows he's not going to beat the knight, so he decides to play dirty and lowers the lance, and it goes through the neck of the horse. I mean, oh my God, that freaked me out. Yeah, I'm one of those people that will watch a million horror movies, but the minute they touch the dog.
I think there's like a horror movie from the point of view of a dog. Have you heard of that one?
It's called Good Boy. Yeah. Haven't seen it yet. It's on my to-do list. Like many people, I refused to see it until I saw it in writing from at least 4 confirmed sources that the dog doesn't die in the end.
Yeah, I heard like the dog survives all the way to the end of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know if I want to get invested in this.
I find it so funny how, I mean, I don't have any pets, but I love how people are so invested into dogs. There's a Twitter account it's specifically for video games, and the whole theme is like, can you pet the dog in the game?
Yes, I've seen that.
There's also a cat one.
I've seen that because, oh my God, I think it's Skyrim, where there's like this giant mutant looking wolf thing, and it's literally, it's like, can you pet the dog? And this dog just runs and eats you, and then it just says, no, you cannot. I think it's Skyrim. Might be, and I don't know. I'm probably mixing up my Xbox games here.
But yeah, people love their domesticated pets.
But yeah, so Aegon has gotten all of these people together, and it's a good thing too, because Sir Fastaway said, yeah, you know how I said I was going to fight for you?
He's like, you're actually short too, he says. You're short too.
Yeah,
and then his cousin like kind of freezes, like, what? Like, what do you mean? And then it becomes like, I mean, you put 2 and 2 together right away, like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like freaking Fastaway, you know, mutineer, just, oh my God, betrayal.
He got offered a lordship.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm going to go fight with him. But this does bring up an interesting point that I want to ask you about, because it's established both in Game of Thrones and in this that a knight can make another knight. It doesn't have to be a royal decree by the king or queen. All you got to do is get another. We saw this in Game of Thrones with Brienne of Tarth, right? Because there was the night of the White Walker attacks, and they said, well, a knight. Well, it's like, I don't need that. A knight can make another knight, so they knight Brienne before they go into battle, which is one of my favorite scenes, by the way. And Raymond, who's a squire, says, hey, knight me, I'll take my cousin's place. Duncan, you're a knight, knight me. Duncan hesitates. And then, because they're still one short even with it, Lionel comes over and says, "Here, I'll take care of this. You go find the other person." And Lionel Baratheon knights Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see at the end that Duncan asks Sir Arlen while they're just sitting on the ground, and we know it's the ground where Arlen dies because we recognize the tree. He says, "Why did you never knight me?" I don't think Duncan has actually been knighted yet.
I took it that he wasn't. I understood the whole time that he wasn't, and he kind of just like feigned it because like who's gonna say otherwise?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would kind of take it that he always meant to, and he just never got around to it, and then he just died suddenly, and like it kind of was just like one of those, you forget to sign your will, you intend to write your will, but you don't address it because it's kind of like a dark topic,
Mm-hmm.
and so you kind of just never do it. So I kind of took it, I mean, since the very beginning, when he introduces himself, I took it as like, oh, he's lying about being knighted. He's just saying that he is because he served a knight, and there's no one to say that he didn't do it, right? Because he even says like, oh, is there any when the recruiter for the tournament even asked like, is there anyone who witnessed it? And he was like, it was raining. And like, like I think he said like there was no people around, or there was a tree, or the bird in the tree or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I don't think the bird counts, dude.
So I kind of took it as like, oh, he's just lying. But maybe he was, and like it still doesn't add up anyways, because there was no one there to confirm it. So
But again, I thought that was kind of an interesting way because he could have been knighted. Arlen could have knighted him and we just didn't see it. But the way he hesitates to knight Raymond, that was the moment I was like, oh shit, you're not actually a knight, are you?
I kind of took it as like he probably doesn't know the exact words or the exact, if he hasn't experienced it himself, he probably doesn't know how to do it. And in front of all these other people, they're probably going to notice like he's not doing it right. So it's very fortunate he kind of gets saved by Baratheon at that moment.
Mm-hmm. So Raymond gets knighted, and Duncan goes up to the crowd, and he's just like, "Are there no men among you who will fight by my side?" and it doesn't look like anyone's gonna fight. But then the doors open, and who comes out? It's Prince Baelor.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mention the guy who stands up and just farts. You're thinking like, oh, he appealed to somebody. No, it's just a gag.
Another joke, another ass joke. No, I'm talking about Baelor coming in because that scene is just dripping in awesomeness. He comes in with the he takes the helmet off. They cue in the Game of Thrones music in the background. And he says, "I will fight by your side." It's like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
I was like, what? Like they got the one guy to like go against his family. And it's like, and he says like, he's like, a knight, you swear an oath to protect the innocent. Like, dang, like even like he's not even afraid to go against like the majority of his family. Like that's how good of a prince he is. He has such a strong sense of what's right and honor that he's like willing to put himself in danger in a situation where he has no business putting himself in danger. But he's like, you know what? Like I think about back to when he gives Duncan the option. He's like, "How good of a knight are you?" Right? He repeats that question a couple of times. Where like there might be a way out for you, but like you really have to be all. Can't just be all talk because you're probably gonna die either way. But if you're really good, like here's a chance. And like knowing that the accuser is his nephew, like he has like it's like here's family, and then like here's what's right, and like damn, like this guy's so cool.
Oh, I know. I love it. And he rallies up the rest of Duncan's men and he gives them the speech. And then we get one of the most badass action sequences in Game of Thrones history. I am going on record. This goes right up there with the Battle of the Bastards.
But before we get that, Alexis, we have a flashback that completely strips all the momentum that the scene had. And he falls into the dirt, cuts to black. The next episode starts with a flash. I'm like, oh my God. I understand why it has to happen, but just to like, I was tempted. I was very tempted to just fast forward through it, but I was like, nope. It's only 6 episodes. I'm going to go through this, but I was like, I just want to get back to the action. How are you going to stop the momentum at that moment and just be like, all right, let's provide some background context. Like, no, like I know you have to do it. Why couldn't you have found a different time to do this?
I had actually written that down. Yeah. Episode 5, because we do get the flashback of young Sir Duncan, young Dunk, and he is just a kid living in Flea Bottom and he's homeless and he's got a friend and they're trying to get enough money.
Robbing.
Yeah. Well, just looting the battlefields, and they're trying to get enough money to go across the narrow sea to the Eastlands. So they're trying, and it is through this that he meets Sir Arlen because they piss off the wrong knight. I think actually he was a gold cloak. So
I
like
think so. That's what the outfit looked like. Yeah.
yeah. Gold cloaks are the royal guardsmen of King's Landing. We saw them in House of the Dragon. That's what Damon, Matt Smith's character, was leading at one point.
They're kind of like the cops, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of ACAB, it's a GCAB.
Oh, gold cloaks. Yeah.
Yeah. Making sure I got the acronym right. Because, yeah, this guy unfortunately fits the motif of why you have the ACAB thing, because he's a jerk. And he slits the throat of Dung's friend, and Dung's about to get killed when Sir Arlen bursts through the door, drunk off his ass. He's like, leave that boy alone. And it literally, it's like he is just, it was just pure fate that he was there.
He was just coherent enough to fight, yes.
And he saves Dunk, and Dunk decides to follow him until they get out of town. And it's a great scene when Dunk just finally cannot go any further. He has not eaten, he's not drinking, he's barely sleeping because he's keeping an eye on Arlen, and he just collapses on the road. And Arlen looks back and then walks over and hands him, I don't know what's in the flask, water or something, and just hands it to him. And he says, "Get up." And that's when we cut back to the action. And that was a good segue into hearing Sir Arlen be the one who says, "Get up," because then we also cut to Aegon in the stands shouting, "Get up." So he hears the voice of his squire, and he hears the voice of his former master encouraging him to continue the fight.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back real quick, I love that whole montage of where he's just always trailing, just in the background somewhere, where like he's following him behind, like behind a rock in a field, and then it's him like in the behind a couple of trees, and then like finally find some fresh water. Then we cut to the nighttime where he's retching up the water that he drank earlier in the day, and you just see Sir Arlen in the background enjoying his fire, and Dunk's just like in the foreground, just like hurling up, and just like he's always just like stalking this guy. And there's like so many scenes of Arlen where he's just kind of just singing and dancing, like just he's just like constantly like in a stupor, just kind of just like, I don't know what's going on, if he's just insane or he's just drunk, but like you just see him, and then you just in the background is just Dunk just like keeping an eye on him, trying, like he's too shy to approach, like to say anything, but he's just like just barely enough behind just to keep track of where he is. I just found that montage to be really funny. Just him hurling from the water he drank earlier. It's like, yeah, you probably don't want to drink stagnant water that's just sitting still.
No.
But we get that, really, like you say, the get up, which is, for me, is very reminiscent of like, we watch a lot of boxing movies, like I like, where you have, someone's down, there's the 10 count kind of thing. And we kind of get that here where they're about to blow the horn, right? Where it's like, oh, you want to call it? Like, okay, let's just call it. And then, Dunk has like, no. And then the egg is like, wait, look, like he's still like got some life in him. And it's really hype. It reminds me a lot of boxing. And I love those kind of like boxing moments where it's like, you think they're done, and it's just like, get up. You got the people in the stands, like, like they kind of start doing the thing where they kind of start like not going in favor of him, but like you can tell they don't want the melee to end just yet, where they kind of like, they get hype, like, yeah, like get up.
Yeah, it's the eye of the tiger moment. And yeah, Dunk gets up and he manages to get Arion down on the ground, and that is where Dunk is able to prove his worth, because he can't best Arion in a sword battle. But Dunk is bigger, he's taller, he's stronger, so you get him in the mud and you punch him, and it's like that's where Dunk can take down.
Just wails on him.
Yeah, and finally he wails on him enough that Arion says, okay, fine, I quit. I
yield.
I yield. I withdraw my accusation. And
he drags him by the leg. To get closer to the stand so that they can hear him.
Well, because knowing Arion, the minute that Dunk would turn his head and be like, okay, good, it would have been like, no one hurt me, stab me in the back. Right. Arion would, do that. He's like, I am not taking any chances with you, kid. And we go to the back and everyone's recovering, and Dunk is just his eyes swollen shut, and he's beat the crap out of, and he falls on his knees in front of Prince Baelor, and he goes, I am your man. He is willing to swear loyalty to the prince, and he's like, you came to me, you helped me in my hour of need. I am your man. And Baelor says the realm needs good men.
Good men. Mm-hmm.
But then he says, help me, to the other guy back there's like, would you please help me get this helmet off? And that's the mistake, because Baelor is missing like from here to here.
Yeah.
And that helmet was essentially the only thing holding in the brains.
Yeah, I did not expect that. When he's like, oh, my brother took a swing at me. He's like strong. He turns to the guys like he's strong. He's strong or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he removes the helmet, which I guess you find out is actually his son's armor that he's wearing. And he takes it off, and then like you kind of see the reaction of the guy who took off his armor. Like he's kind of just staring at
an egg on their boat, just like, oh no, it's not. It's Raymond. And they're just like, oh god, yeah, just that look on their face, and the audience doesn't see what they see, but we see that terror in their face. Just, oh no. Yeah, we're all going, what is it? What is it? And then he turns, and it's just like, heads are not supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
And poor Baelor dies.
He kind of did like a Gus Fring thing. He comes out like, yeah. And then just like, acknowledges what happened, and just kind of starts just collapse. I'm like, oh no.
And poor Dunk is just torn up about this. He genuinely feels that people who are close to him are hurt, and he he thinks back to his friend who died at Flea Bottom, because they pissed off the Gold Cloak.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of feels to himself, why was I spared? He has very bad, it's clear survivor's guilt. It's, why was I spared? And Prince Baelor, who would have been a fantastic king of Westeros, why was he taken instead of me?
He has a conversation with Baelor's son later after the funeral, where he's like, why was it you and not him? Like, and he's like, I asked myself that same question. Like, like you could tell he's legitimately like upset about what, like, dang, like, why did it have to happen this way? Of all the things, and you can imagine too that you probably imagine like, oh, if only it hadn't been this, if only it had, if only it had been just one-on-one, if only I hadn't probably interfered, like, all the things he's probably thinking, like, why did he have to like, volunteer? He's like, all the thoughts that he probably went through his head, between that day and the next day of the funeral, and just like, he's just beating himself up about it. And just, it's a rough situation all around.
And you also get a really good speech from Maker, who is now heir to the throne because Baelor's out, and he talks about how he will forever be compared to his brother. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the first couple seasons of the Tudors, because Henry VIII was not supposed to be king. His older brother died, and you look at a lot of what Henry VIII did, and a lot of it is, and there's a reaction of, well, if your brother was still alive, he wouldn't have done this. And Maker says it's like, anytime something goes wrong in this kingdom when I'm king, everyone is going to say, Baelor wouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah, he said a wrong harvest or a frost, or like, so he basically says things that are basically out of control, like natural things. They're going to say like, oh, it wouldn't have happened under like Baelor's watch or something like that. Yeah.
And you know what? He's absolutely right. I mean, if you follow current politics, you see that anytime something goes wrong, there is always an outcry that the previous president wouldn't have let that happen. The previous administration wouldn't have let that happen. Or if something does go right, then it's like, well, the previous administration didn't do that. So, there's always going to be that comparison.
I mean, sometimes that's true, though. I mean, sometimes that is true.
Oh, true. And we are not getting started on that. Because I had to deal with political talk about the war in Iran on last night's show with Hoppers, and I am not diving back into that Pandora's box.
How does that move? Never mind, I'll just watch it.
It just the guys talking.
Oh, okay.
So Lionel Baratheon says, okay, look, I don't know why this happened, but hey, come party with me. Come on, we're going to go have fun. And I love, there's a line he says, you ever been to Tarth? And this is apparently a little in-joke, because there are fan theories that Duncan is the ancestor of Brienne of Tarth, because he's so tall and he's got blonde hair just like her.
That's kind of that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be cool,
Similar
but
knighting situations. Yeah.
Mhm. It'd be cool. It doesn't have to be, I'm not one of those, everything must be interconnected and
Mhm.
intertwined, but it is kind of a fun fan theory. It is.
Yeah.
And but Dunk says, no, I can't do it. And then he goes to talk to Prince Maker, and Maker says, well, okay, Aegon still wants to be your squire. So why don't you come us to Summerhall, which I guess is uh it's basically one of the homes of the royal family that is, not King's Landing. It says,
Yeah.
you can train Aegon fine. And Dunk says, well, there's a problem with that. You see, your kids are kind of assholes. And I think and growing up amongst royalty is a problem. And Aegon is a good kid. So he says, I don't want to train Aegon with you guys. I want him to come
Yeah.
be a hedge knight with me, really learn about what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And Maker says, no, my son is not going to sleep outside. He is not going to eat salt beef.
Well, before we get to that, though, we have where he's initially offered the chance and he says, I'm done, with princes.
Mhm.
And then he goes to the funeral for the Beesbury. I forget the guy's name.
Yeah, oh God, yes, it's the other knight who has the weirdest hair. He's got like dark brown hair, but he's got a
His
bright
beard's like mustache way lighter. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like the Lorax.
He does. He kind of does. Or kind of like a weird like Don Quixote like painting, like kind of just very,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the hair is just kind of like, it's doing its own thing. And he
But
just has
that
like this weird,
mustache is like bright gold.
yeah, the very like orangey-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's there at their funeral and I guess they put a queen bee in the
In the
casket.
casket, so there's
with
bees all over the place.
So it's an interesting little funeral tradition they have. But he has the conversation with the other I forget the brother's name, but the one who has this visions. He kind of stumbles in there.
Darian, yeah.
Like he's remorseful, but not that remorseful, right? To like take back what he said. And
well, that's also that's the other problem is that Darian essentially to save face said, Dunk stole egg. This is not my fault. And he's just not enough of a man to take it back. And that's basically what seals Dunk into having to do the trial.
Right. But he kind of has a conversation with Dunk, which kind of makes Dunk change his mind, where he says like, oh, like, he wasn't always a monster, and Dunk's like, Egg's not a monster. He's like, no, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Arya. Like he wasn't always, that way. He just kind of, grew up where we grew up and kind of just became that way. And that's when Dunk kind of you can see the gears turning in his head where he's like, I need to save, Egg from this fate of becoming a jerk, basically, the jerkwad. And like, so that's when he finally decides like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it my way. And that's when he goes back to Maekar and tells him, the terms of how he'll do it.
Yeah. And of course, Maker says, no, not a chance in hell. So Dunk's at this point just about ready to move on. He gets his horse. Oh my God. I cried when he had to sell his horse in episode 2.
Give us some of the money back. Like, give him some oats tonight.
Yeah. And an apple. And Raven buys his horse for him. But Dunk realizes she'd be way happier as or living on an orchard. So he says, go take her back with you. And he's getting ready to leave, and Aegon says, wait, my dad changes his mind. I get to go with you. And they ride off debating about the fact that this is not technically a Knight of the 7 Kingdoms, it's a Knight of the 9 Kingdoms, which is something that Game of Thrones fans have actually been debating for years, because they always talk about, it's like they always say the 7 Kingdoms, like, but there's technically 9. So
I always assumed that 2 of those were probably like 1 at some point or something like that. Right? Because I think like the Reach and Vale,
I know Dorne was a last minute addition because they couldn't conquer Dorne for the longest time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the books or in the show, but Dorne is like the last one to join. You can tell because they're very culturally they're very different than the rest of the kingdoms.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I think it's a case that they just added 2 or 1. They added 1 and then 1 split, and they just never bothered to change the expression.
Kind of like a West Virginia kind of situation.
And of course, as they ride off, Maker is suddenly going, wait, where the hell's my son? Because somebody didn't get daddy's permission. and Maker is not going to be happy. And that's where things end with season 1, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This show is so much fun. I loved it.
I love how they do something different with the ending of that. It cuts to credits and it's playing like this. I associate the song with Fallout because it is in the Fallout games.
16 tons. Yes. Oh my God. The minute I heard that, I was like, what the hell? Yeah.
I sold my soul to the company store.
Yeah.
Why is that song in this? Like this, it's so anachronistic, but it doesn't even care. That like it doesn't even fit. And because I know that song from Fallout, so I'm like, well, like, it's really funny because we just you and I did.
Yeah, we just did Fallout. Yeah,
a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, this is weird, but I'm like, okay, I'll roll with it. I like how they kind of just again they do flashbacks in a way that none of the other shows in this series do, where like they instantly show you what they're referencing. Like you mentioned, like that guy, like what happened to your eye, and it shows exactly how he lost his eye.
Yes.
Or like it's very kind of sitcom-y in a way. I think there's a lot of sitcoms or kind of like Family Guy. They always has cutaway gags. Like I love how like it feels very fresh compared to the other shows. The other shows take themselves very seriously. They're very, dainty, and maybe not dainty is the right word because it's very bloody, but you know what I mean? Like they take themselves kind of like Downton Abbey kind of like, and this feels like A Knight's Tale where it's kind of like, yeah, it's in the same, universe, but we're going to have fun with this. We're going to have fun. We're not going to focus on the big things. We're going to show relatable characters that the average person can relate to. And, we're just going to have just a really fun kind of cheesy time and more of a character study, not so much on special effects. We're going to keep this very, low budget, low key, and just let the story do all the work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like I said, this, it's interesting because to me, it reminds me a lot of the classic Wolf and Cub story, which is interesting because that's very much so the inspiration for another popular TV series, Mandalorian. I mean, you can't tell me you don't see the comparison between, Duncan, Egg, and, the Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, there is the comparison there.
I just play so many video games that in my head it just reminds me of a lot of relationships are kind of like paternal and kind of I think like The Last of Us, how Joel and Ellie were in the beginning where they were just very rough and kind of butt heads, and then later on they kind of develop. Like I see that here too, where it's very much if you ever played any of the God of War games, Kratos and Atreus, it's very kind of like here's the rugged hero that's been through everything. Here's the naive younger kid and who's just trying to please the older guy. And it's just, again, it's like it's a lot of things. Like you said, like it's like Mandalorian, Last of Us. There's a lot of these relationships of these, the adoptive father kind of rearing, for the better. I mean, the situations are different. Obviously we have like a royal, in Last of Us had someone who's immune to infection. Like there's different, obviously the plot is different, but the relationships are relationship dynamics are very similar.
Definitely. I mean, because yes, Duncan is not the grizzled old, leader. He may not actually even be a knight, so he's just as inexperienced.
He's constantly threatening him. He's like something about a clawed to the ear.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I always assumed it's like that's how you get cauliflower ear back in Westeros or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, linguistically that makes sense. Sure.
But no, that's just like I said. It's interesting because it's like, yeah, Dunk is not that experienced. In fact, again, going out that last scene where it's like, let's travel the 7 kingdoms. There are 9 kingdoms. No, there's 7. And Egg names off all 9, and Dunk's just like, why the hell have we been saying 7? So you get kind of a parallel of I teach you, you teach me. Kind of a thing, which is really very fascinating idea. And I'm really looking forward to season 2. It has been confirmed they're going to continue adapting from these books. And this is, in my opinion, the best thing we have gotten from George R.R. Martin's adaptations in a while. And I do love House of the Dragon, and I loved almost all of Game of Thrones. But this was just genuinely fun. It's not a big epic saga. It's a character study. We're just watching a knight, a squire, and the people they encounter, and it just happens to take place in the same place as all this shit that's been going on in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I love because I'll probably forget if I don't say it. I love the scene when they first spend their night outside and they're under the stars, and then the shooting star passes by, and Egg says like, "Oh, a falling star, like that's good luck." And then he's like, "I bet we're the only ones to see it, because the other lords and
Those are
knights
in
are
their
under
tents.
in
Yeah.
their tents." And then Dunk is kind of like, so we're the only ones that got to see it, like kind of saying like, "Oh, like, so am I gonna get all the good luck?" kind of thing. Like I like
Mhm.
that kind of just that hopefulness that kind of like in their that they have in that moment, like that first night, and kind of just like it's a very like optimistic show, and I kind of like that moment.
Not to mention, I love that that also comes into play when he asks the puppeteer to paint his
Mhm.
shield, and they make sure to say, make sure there's a shooting star
Yeah,
going over the oak
the
tree.
elm
That's
tree. Yeah,
yeah. And there is a lot of backstory. I love the backstory about why Sir Arlen was, it's like Arlen of Pennytree and where the name Pennytree came from. The idea that the knights, when they went off to battle, would nail a penny to this tree in the center of town. And then when you came back, you would take the penny down. But as more and more battles went on, fewer and fewer pennies got taken off.
mhm.
And then before he leaves the grounds after the tournament, he nails a penny to the tree he's been resting under in honor of
Yeah,
his old teacher. And
yeah.
how great was that final shot, by the way? You have Duncan Egg riding off, and Sir Arlen, his spirit
Oh
is
yeah,
riding behind them, and he diverts off, and he's like, you know what? I think you're in good hands. And he goes off in the other direction. I'm like, oh my
I
God,
like
that was
that. That was
such a
cute.
good
Yeah.
shot. I loved it.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of him being like a presence in the background, like the get up kind of thing in here,
Mhm.
where he's kind of like he's gone, but not kind of, but still there. He like Dunk still thinks of him, and yeah, you're right. Like now he's like, okay, the story's over, and like he just basically just wanders off and diverts. Yeah, I like that scene. I forgot about that till right now you mentioned it, but yeah, it's a nice touching finale for that.
Yeah. Okay, I think we went over all of my notes here. Yeah, because you brought up the flashback in the middle of the combat of the seven, which I had written on. It's like, was that really the best place to put it? Again,
Yeah.
necessary
Yes.
story. I'm glad they included it, but I kind of feel like it would have been better to have that as a dream before he wakes up for the combat,
Okay.
and then when he's in the ground, you hear the words "get up," because then it's a
Yeah.
callback to the earlier scene.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, where? I was like, I don't like it here, but where else would you put it? And I couldn't really think of a moment where it seemed appropriate. So I'm like, I guess this is where I guess, to have that get up moment. I couldn't think of it too, but yeah, I guess I suppose a dream sequence at some point in between probably that would have worked out as well.
All right. Were there any other notes? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, there's a small one, but it's not that important. But I forgot because I looked it up later because I'm like, I remember in Game of Thrones, Maester Aemon refer when he's kind of delirious. I don't know if you remember. He's kind of
Mhm,
delirious, and he thinks he's a child again. And he talks about he's like egg, egg, like he's thinking about his brother, and
mhm.
but we don't see Maester Aemon like the character. Because I looked it up and it said at this point in the story he would have been at the Citadel being trained to become a Maester. So he's one
Oh,
of the
okay.
because he knew he wasn't in direct line for at the time like his uncle Baelor was still around. He knew he was not in the line of succession because he still had two older brothers. He's the third one, and then Egg is like the fourth one, I believe.
Yeah, Aeg was a fourth son of a fourth son. He was never expected to take the throne. And the way that his brothers actually die, have you read how Arion dies? It's
No,
not a pretty way to go.
I mean he's kind of a jerk, so I can imagine that.
Let me put it this way. You remember in season 1 of Game of Thrones when, Daenerys's brother constantly talked about, "I'm the dragon," but then
Mhm.
when he got
The
the
gold
molten
law.
gold, and it was like, well,
Mhm.
it's like, "You're obviously not the dragon," because a dragon would have been able to sustain that burn.
Survive, yeah.
Let's just say Arion does something similar to try to prove that he's the
Oh
dragon,
no.
and guess what? He's not the dragon.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's literally a case of my final words were, "Dude, watch this."
oh crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, where is so I looked it up after the show. I'm like, where is Aemon? Like he should be here because he's the egg is like the next one after him. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
weird. So I looked it up. I looked it up on my own afterwards. I'm like, okay, so at this time, the setting, he's not present at the tourney because he's actually at the Citadel being trained. He took himself out of the line early and just devoted
Mhm.
himself to like medicine and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, so that's why we don't see him.
That was pretty common from what I've read about in Westeros, that obviously you had younger siblings who weren't in line for the throne, so that a lot of them just said, "Okay, I'm getting the hell out of King's Landing," and many of
Hmm.
the that's why you have many of them, going into, the Night Watch, going up to the walls. It's like, "Well, what else am I gonna do with my life?"
I'm glad you mentioned that, Alexis, because I was thinking about that too, where a lot of the situation, it's very similar to the real life, like medieval age, where you had a situation where a lot of inherited lands, there was only so much land. Like if you were a lord and you had multiple sons, and then they had multiple sons, and it kind of just gets diluted as you go down the
Mhm.
line. So you found like a lot of people who had titles who were just dirt poor, even though they came, because basically as knights, they weren't allowed to basically have any other trades. Like it was kind of like beneath them, but they kind of suffered greatly. So like a lot of that's a lot. They had a lot of wars to kind of just give them something to do. Like if you look up at the history of the first like two crusades, it was basically just the Pope saying we have way too many dudes who are swordsmen not doing anything. Let's send them east. And that's basically
Mhm.
what it was. So I kind of, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it was kind of like this situation here where like you have like these lesser lords, right? Like you said, like the Fossaways and like
Mhm.
and much the situation like Dunk, where it's like, yeah, well, maybe I'll serve like a lord, or stay in their hall for a couple of weeks or nights or whatever, and like yeah, you have a lot of these wandering, basically Ronin, which is the equivalent, the Japanese
Yeah,
equivalent.
exactly.
They have nothing to do. They become sell swords, or they, like many people today, they go overseas to find some kind of other line of work, and like so I
Mhm.
kind of like that depiction of where like we have these guys who their best chance at anything is these tourneys where they can get attention and fame. It's like the equivalent of like, influencers in a way, sort of. And that's how they're gonna, land themselves somewhere, right? Like Baratheon, kind of like, yeah, why don't you come, work for me? You can stay with us. Like, we're good friends now. Like, I mean, that way him networking did kind of work out, but it wasn't exactly what he wanted, right? He kind of saw that you get the idea that Dunk and also even his master Sir Arwen, like they kind of see the how this upper class of nobles kind of, it just begets corruption, and just like you think you want to be here but you don't, kind of thing, right? Like we kind of
Exactly.
see how that's why Sir Arwen's kind of like he was always wandering from place to place, not because he couldn't, he was a good fighter. There's like Baylor said, like, oh yeah, like he unseated the Gray Lion, and like who's I guess the current king at that time, or his
Mhm.
father. And it's like he could have been something. Like he really could have been something, but he saw something that probably other people didn't. And were like, this is not the scene for me. And so I kind of liked how Dunk kind of has, even though he is preferred as being stupid and dumb, like there is such a genuineness to him where he sees like
Mhm.
this kind of upper, like this thing that I wanted to achieve, I found out is not the thing that's good for me. And so that's why I have to leave and kind of just go back to like where I was. So I love this whole kind of circle turn around kind of thing that we come to at the end.
Yeah, because yeah, he almost threw that all in. He would have served, Prince Baelor, to the end of his days. He's just the way he sounds so humbled in front of him after the combat of 7 before he realizes that Baelor is not going to make it. Just, "I
Mhm,
am your man, sir." He just wants nothing more than to serve
mhm.
this prince who but just basically looked his family in the eye and said, "You know what? You guys are assholes. I'm gonna go fight for what's right."
And I love, oh, we forgot to mention it, but that very short conversation he has with one of the King's Guard with the dude, they had like really cool white armor. The
They were also on, Aerion's side because they
right,
mentioned their
right.
na
They had
yeah,
to, they had to, their
they got
boss.
checked. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love how he has a conversation with that guy. I can't remember the guy's name. Something of, was it Dawn Star? No, something of, it begins with a D. I can't remember the place where he comes from.
Let me
It was
see if it
like
was listed on
Dawn
Wikipedia.
or Dusk something. I can't remember the name. It starts with a D. But he basically says like oh, and he's like, oh, like I don't come from, like I'm not nobility. And he's like, well, you're in the King's Guard. Like how did you work?
Duskendale. Sir
Dusk.
Donald of
Okay,
Duskendale.
there you go. I knew
Oh,
it was D something.
yeah, he says something like, "My family were crab fishers," and yeah, and Dunk's just like, "Oh my god, you started from nothing," and he finds out, no, they own the boats that
Half.
do yeah.
Yeah, they own like half of the crab ships, something like that. I think one of them mentions like, oh no, like he still comes from money. It's just not like blood. It's not like high blood or whatever. He probably bought his way in anyways, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like, it's like, dang, okay, well there you go. Yeah, you can't do that either, Dunk. Like you gotta find another way. you can You're gonna have to find another way other than just grit.
Oh, we actually have a comment here from, Icefire Fusion 91. That is an awesome screen name, by the way. "What is your favorite character in House of the Dragon?" See, I am not. I have trouble thinking about that because every time I think I found a character I like in a House of the Dragon, either they die or they betray someone else.
I think it's probably not. I don't know if it's a popular opinion. I'm trying to remember his name. I want to say it's Aemon, right? The one with the eye patch.
Uh, yes, it's Aemond because they always
With
point
a
out
D,
that
that's right.
because Aemond and Daemon, their names are anagrams of each other, so
There
they're
you
supposed to
go.
be the two sides of the same coin.
I think Aemon's so cool. I think he's just such a cool character. The whole eye patch thing, him taking like the biggest dragon just by pure, guts as a little
Yeah.
kid, and like the whole kind of conniving, like sets up his brother, and like he just like his dragon eats his younger cousin. Was it his cousin, right? Yeah, his cousin,
Cousin.
half brother.
Okay, let's just
I'm trying to remember
admit it. That
exactly.
trying to actually name
Nephew. There you go.
yeah, trying to name the branches of the Targaryen family tree is between the incest and the remarrying. It's just like I got nothing.
I think Aemon. Yeah, I think Aemon's probably just because I just love to see what he's always doing. He's always just like low key threatening his brother, and like because he's kind of like the one that gets picked on, right? Like when in the first season where he's younger and he's like at a disadvantage, and then he quickly becomes like as they get older, he quickly becomes like the most like ferocious one, right? Like I think his brother, who becomes the king, is kind of he doesn't really care about being a king, whereas Aemon's like focused on combat. Like he's always training, he's always trying to improve himself. Like he is like the ambitious usurper kind of a way, and I really like that as a character. I think he's just really cool. I think he just looks cool, like with his his outfits. He's always kind of just like getting a reaction out of people. Like I don't know, he's kind of like a cool, fun Lucius Malfoy kind of in a way.
Not very true. See, because I think if I actually had to name a favorite character, it would probably be Daemon because we have seen them. I love characters where you see the most growth out of them. And Daemon was a horrible character to start, but I love how we have seen him develop over the 2 seasons.
He's like a Jaime Lannister path kind of, yeah.
Exactly.
I just didn't like how in the second season he spends all that time hallucinating in the castle. I felt like it's such a waste of a character that kind of just like they're not giving you much to do. You're kind of just hanging out in the was it Harrenhal? I think it's Harrenhal. Right?
Well, that was all an addition. That stuff wasn't in the book.
It wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, they only. See, that's the problem. Is that the first season they took a decent amount. The second season is not that much, so they really had to pad out a lot of stuff.
Maybe that's why this works so well, because it is a story, it is a pre-established book, and there's no room for like let's kind of do our own thing with it. Maybe that's why we like this so much, because it hasn't had the chance to become a disappointment yet.
Yeah. Like I said, I love seeing characters who develop, and the whole hallucination stuff in Harrenhal was weird, but it does lead to a really cool place. And I do love the end of the second season of House of the Dragon, where Daemon is humbled by the visions he's been given by the witch of Harrenhal, as it were. And he essentially says, you know what? I'm done fighting. This isn't my battle. This isn't my war. I am not supposed to be the one claiming the throne. I'm going to go stand by my wife / niece. Again, see where I talk about with having trouble identifying the family members?
And we kind of got a little bit of that. Do you remember in the flashback with Dunk where they're trying to turn in their loot, and the guy who's basically kind of like the pawn shop or whatever, he's like, no, like take like the black fire, like this. Basically, this is like an emblem or like a house that no longer like is legitimate. Like I don't want anything to do with that. Like I'm not gonna sell that. Like kind of like this is like a bad thing to carry now. Like the loser or whoever, I'm not sure if it's from the blacks or greens, like that Civil War, or I think they mentioned it's like some other usurper or some kind of side family related to the Targaryen, something like that. They're kind of like they basically the losing side of that war. Like we don't want anything to do with them, so take this crap with you.
And yeah, I was trying to think about that scene because that I hate to say that whole flashback did kind of blow by really quickly. Pacing on the show is great, but it is very fast. This is only 6 episodes, and most of the episodes aren't even like 45 minutes long. You can binge this whole thing in one day easily.
I was surprised when I was on episode 5, and I'm like, I thought I was still on episode 3. Like this is going by so quick.
Yeah, I know, right? I was so worried because you know me, I have so many shows to review for TV Party Tonight, and I'm always trying to plan it out. I'm like, okay, so I need a weekend to binge this because I know I'm going to need a couple of days to binge it. And I'm like, so I'm going to need that's it. I could get that all day. It's like I thought I needed like 3 days to get through another season of anything dealing with Westeros. No, I binged this all in one night. I'd even planned it. I was like, okay, I'll watch half now and I'll watch half later. It went so quickly and it was so fast. I just stayed up and watched it and I loved it. We're looking forward. Season 2 is coming. We will definitely be back. And of course, Mr. or Miss Icefire Fusion 91, we will also be back to talk about House of the Dragon Season 3. The teaser, trailer, something did drop. So we got that coming out later this year. Andrew, I hope you'll be back on that one.
Yeah, I probably will. Most likely, yeah.
Well, we need to continue the saga of Sheep Stealer.
I hope we finally get to the actual war, like now, hopefully now, after 2 seasons of like teasing, like we need to just get this over with.
Well, it's going to be interesting because the queen basically sold her son out and it was like, okay, I'm getting the hell out of here. He is off battling something. The castle's going to be unarmed. Go do what you got to do. The fact that she's even shed her green dress, showing she's no longer loyal to her father's vision. She's gone back to wearing her standard blue. It's like, I am done being a tool and a puppet for these games. It's like, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
So, but yes, we'll be back to talk about that, and we will be back to talk about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 2. I keep hearing there are tons of other spin-offs that they want to do with Game of Thrones. I mean, this series is not for lacking stories and characters. George R.R. Martin has written so much about all these other characters and all these other things going on in Westeros. Still hasn't written the final book yet, but that's neither here nor there.
Don't they want to do one of how the Targaryens came to Westeros, right? I think
I heard that, and I also heard I can't remember his name. The Valerian, the dark-skinned Valerian with the silver dreadlocks, who had the ships that they gave to.
I think it begins with a B, but I'm not sure.
He's supposed to be getting a spin-off as well, because if you read more about him, this dude is apparently like the medieval equivalent of Jack Sparrow. He is just so cool.
Yeah, they call him the sea snake, right? Or the sea something, right?
Yeah, something like that. So he's apparently just got a massive story to tell. So I hear that that's one of the stories that they're really also pushing. And I would be fine with that. That sounds like a fun story arc.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like Star Wars at this point. We're like, we already have the main one. We have the prequel. We're doing this kind of like this like you said, Mandalorian, Grogu kind of smaller, scale story. Why not just have a kind of like an Andor equivalent or a Book of Boba Fett equivalent or whatever? Like just lean into it. I think they also did they want to do one about the was it the tragedy, right? Is what they call it, like the big thing of why, right? Is that related to the story of why they fled where they came from, all the dragon riders, right?
Are you talking about Robert's Rebellion with King
No.
Aegon the Mad? Who, by the way, is not the same Aegon that we see in this.
There's like 5 of them. No.
Yeah, well, didn't we talk about this with both reviews of House of the Dragons? Like, this all could have been avoided if you just stop naming your kids the same thing every time.
I think it's like, I forgot. It's the tragedy of like Valeria or something like that. Something like that. Where
okay, so there's
thousands of years before the shows or anything.
There's a reviewer I follow, goes by the name Dominic Noble. He does a show called Lost in Adaptation. And he did a brief thing called about the history of Westeros. He said a very brief ancient history of Westeros and a very brief, more recent history of Westeros. And he talks about, the Valerians coming from Valeria, and they became the Targaryens. And he says something about it, and it's probably a good thing they did, because shortly after, Valeria just blew up. And he said nobody's really sure why, but apparently it's something to do with volcanoes and dragons.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to take a wild guess that those two things combined do not
Their
make...
version of Pompeii.
Oh, great. Now I have that scene from Loki stuck in my head.
Oh, right, when he shows up. Yeah,
but it's just like, it just starts ransacking the place. To
like, it doesn't matter. We're all going to die anyways, yeah.
I love that scene. I watched Avengers Endgame the other night with my parents, and now I've got Marvel back on the brain. Speaking, by the way, we're talking about Mandalorian and Star Wars. Are you going to see Mandalorian and Grogu when it comes out?
Absolutely,
Oh, I
absolutely.
cannot wait.
I'll be there day one.
My best friend who lives about 2 hours away from her, she's the biggest Star Wars nerd on the planet. I
Bring her
called
on
her,
next
like,
time you guys do Star Wars.
yeah, I called her up. I said, "You're coming to Kansas City, and we are going to go see Mandalorian." It's like, you're the only one I want to go see Mandalorian and Grogu with.
There you
So,
go.
gonna have a lot of fun with that. But again, this, guys, if you haven't checked out Night of the Seven Kingdoms, please check it out. If you're worried about getting sucked into another massive Westeros, biblical era, biblical like story, you're not gonna get that. Okay, this is fun. It's a way more lighthearted than we have seen out of past stuff. It's just a lot of fun. The characters are likable. The acting is great. The production value, as always, is terrific. The action is incredible. Again, I stand by what I said about that. The combat of the seven, and just what did someone say? It's like Rocky, but with swords and horses.
Yeah, I could say. I don't know who said that, but I could say that. Yeah, I could see that.
I think I just saw it on
I was-
on a YouTube comment.
I also just love that, like, once the main antagonist or once the main agitator is out, everybody else on the field kind of, okay, all right, we're done. Like, they're all trying to kill the crap out of each other. And it's like, oh, did anybody die? Actually, yeah, 2 people died. But like in the melee, you kind of just see them, like, they kind of like, okay, like once the horn's like, oh, we're done. Like, okay, we don't have to do this anymore.
Because yeah, they confirmed Beesbury's dead. I think they said the guy with the one eye is dead.
No.
Baylor, did he not die?
I think it was one of the other guys in the back, one of the other like nameless characters, like they briefly show, but they don't really like, do much exposition on him.
Because I do know they said that one of the white cloak knights did die.
Yeah.
They said that one of them, one or two, I don't know. I just know Baylor lost half his head, and Beesbury got got put in a casket with bees all over it. And you know what? I know bees are one of the most important creatures in the world, and God bless them, and we need to protect them. But I am still way too terrified to get near that thing. It's like, sorry. You see the kids climbing underneath that?
I was like, I would never do.
No, no,
I would never get that close. No.
Oh God, I'm not allergic to bees, but even I'd be like, nope. We're going to another tent.
I do love though how they show like all these extra houses. Like some of them we've never seen before. Some we did. I love how they have when they show like the first day of the fights, and I don't know, he must be from House Tully, the guy who eats the fish, because
I was thinking the same thing.
Because they're for like the Riverlands, and you can see like he has the crest of like House Tully on it.
fish.
And he just eats the fish and just like, all right, yeah, like that's a good
And
way,
then throws it into the audience.
throws it into the crowd.
Oh God, how great is that line, by the way, when Egg has to remind Dunk that he's not competing on the first day. It's like, no, the first day of the tournament's always for the high-end knights and the lords. You got the big show
Anyone
first.
of renown, he says.
Yeah, and Dunk actually goes, then why have I been vomiting all morning? Because he was so nervous. And
I mean, somehow that's worse. That's kind of worse. That's like, I remember when I had like a doctor's appointment and I was so nervous and got canceled. And it's like, I got scheduled next week. I was like, oh, great. I'm going to be draining it for a whole week now. I could have just gotten over it.
I know. I've had cases where that it's like, okay, I could get through this. I can get through this. What do you mean? It's been delayed. Just,
oh
my
God.
I hate that.
I'm going to be worrying. Yeah. The whole time now. Yeah.
It's like, you're both worrying the whole time, but you're also relieved. And then you're mad at yourself. Why the hell was I freaking out about this? It just, oh my God, I hate that.
Like, this one time, my wife, she had like on a Friday, her boss says like, oh, we're having a meeting on Monday. And it's, why would you say that on Friday? Like, why would you? And all weekend she worked. I mean, it turned out to be nothing, but like just the kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm like, why wouldn't you say that on Monday? Like, why would you give her the whole week?
Right? Oh yeah, it's like, way to totally shoot my weekend in the foot.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, you know what, guys? I think we've covered everything we need to cover. So again, if you got HBO Max, go check out Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's got our seal of approval. You're gonna love it, Mr. Orozco. Again, I know we'll have you back on here before too long. You are one of my favorite collaborators. But why don't you go ahead and tell our lovely viewers here where they can find you when you are not watching TV because I'm forcing you to.
Don't take it that. I hope you don't take it that way, Alexis.
I know. I
had a good time. Okay. I don't have anything going on right now, honestly. So there is nothing for me to plug. That will change the next time we get together, though, because I do have something that I'm working on. I just don't have a name for it yet, so there's no point
Awesome.
pointing to anything when there's no name. So just leave it at that for now.
Looking forward to hearing what you got to say then.
Thank you.
All right. So I will be back next week for a Damn You Hollywood. Myself, Kat Scott, and Robert Winfrey are going to be talking The Bride. Robert has seen the early reviews of that, and he is absolutely terrified, especially the fact that he's essentially going to be locked in a podcast with me and our reigning Chaos Goblin.
Didn't that movie make like very little money? I heard.
Yeah, it bombed hard.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking why it bombed. But yeah, you remember Kat from our Fallout 2 reviews. So just imagine Robert and me and her in a review together. Robert is terrified. Remember though, Kat called herself the Chaos Goblin though, so that's not me calling news. That was her. That's her title.
She's fun. She has a lot of energy. She definitely livens things up.
Absolutely. Afterwards, I don't have it on the calendar yet, but we will be back with the TV party tonight to talk about the season 2 of One Piece. That just premiered on Netflix. Really excited to talk about that because that I think is one of the best anime adaptations we have ever had.
I didn't even know there was a second season until I saw your post on Facebook where you were just very happy and you posted the trailer for that. I was like, oh, I know Alexis is into One Piece. Like, okay, that's cool.
Okay, so I have not watched much of the anime because to try to start watching the anime and try to catch up is the most fruitless endeavor in the history of mankind.
1,000 or almost 1,000 episodes.
Still going. It's still going. So
I think the manga's finished though.
So I basically just, when I saw they were doing the live action adaptation, I watched a little bit so I could get a better idea. Watched the first season. Loved it. David Wright will hopefully be coming back on to talk about that. So looking forward to that. And again, we'll be back later this year for House of the Dragon season 3. I need to double check on when that comes out. So
is that this year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Finally.
Yeah.
Wasn't like the gap between season 1 and 2 like really long? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, but it could have been longer because House of the Dragon was one of the few shows that wasn't affected by that double strike in Hollywood. Because 90% of the cast and crew are British, so they're not part of the unions here in the States.
Got it.
So yeah, they were one of the few that had permission to continue. So we got that. In the meantime, as far as the plugs that pay me, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, or Fashion Meets Fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We are getting ready for Planet Comic-Con. Our Comic-Con season starts at the end of the month. Really excited. Love working the show. We got some amazing talent coming in for this. We have got a ton of the staff of Hasbin Hotel. We've got Sean Astin and Elijah Woods. We got Frank Grillo. We got Jeffrey Combs. We got Jared Padalecki. We got William freaking Shatner coming here, folks. So hey, if you were in the Midwest area last month or last weekend of March, come to Kansas City for Planet Comic-Con. We will be there selling all of our wonderful handmade geek themed jewelry, including a bunch of brand new stuff that I've been working on over the winter months. And as always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, screw you, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find our stores on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon.
Screw you, Twitter.
Yeah, I abandoned ship on Twitter and I have not looked back.
Fair enough.
And I will only call it Twitter. I'm not calling it anything else. I don't care what.
I mean, you could be talking about anything. You could be talking about Triple X. You could be talking about X marks a spot. DMX.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm not calling it that. That name is stupid. Okay, so for myself, for Mr. Andrew Orozco, thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful night.